Arsenal defeat Chelsea 2-1 at the Emirates Stadium. It should have been more. The margin should have been more comfortable. We made it more difficult for ourselves in true Arsenal fashion, but most importantly, 3 points. That's what we need. 3 more crucial points to the Premier League title. And there's a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. This is the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal. Rav here, as always. How is everyone? Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're well. It is a rainy, cloudy Monday morning here. I was just waiting for dawn so I could come outside and have a bit of light to record this post-match podcast. A Monday morning here, geez, these 3:30 a.m. kickoffs Australian time are brutal. I am a bit all over the shop, and those sort of games, they age me more, by the way. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you will probably note I'm getting more and more grey hair by the week as each match day ticks over towards this Premier League title that hopefully sees Arsenal finally lift this monkey off our back. But anyway, look, Arsenal win 2-1. Look, I can't just escape this shaky feeling I've got in me that we got lucky. We got fortunate this time. We open ourselves up in these sort of 15, 20 closing minutes, and football is so chaotic. It's so mad that sometimes it goes against you like it did against Wolves. Sometimes we can grind it out and see it through with a little bit of fortune and some immense, incredible goalkeeping from David Raya. I just think that we're just leaving it to the margins is the word I'm looking for. We're just leaving things a bit too open to chance. And that troubles me. But at the same time, it's one of those things where do you really care in the wash-up? When you look back at the results, when you look back at, you see this on the score sheet, 2-1, 3 points, onwards we go. Tick off another match. There's 9 to go. Keep grinding out wins. Does it really matter the performance? I guess there's whichever angle you want to look at. I don't think you'll be wrong. I think whichever, you can mount a case with supporting evidence for either sides of those. I'm a little bit nervous. Actually, not a little bit nervous. I'm quite nervous watching us play like that. You wouldn't know that Chelsea were the one with 10 men in the red card. Sorry for the structure of this podcast. I've jumped right ahead, of course. In a moment, I'll talk about selection and the goals and just some general thoughts on the match itself. But I just want to get this opening piece out of the way so I can just not be distracted by that as the recording goes on. I'm troubled by the way Arsenal closing up. We close up shop too early, I feel. In the early parts of the season, our defensive excellence was just outstanding. It was next level. It was elite level. And we still are, of course. We still are. Take nothing away from that. But there was that run where Arsenal were just nicking goals at the other end. We could win 1-0 to the Arsenal, as the saying goes. We didn't concede a shot on target. We were so assured from the back. We had control, dominance. We would suffocate the life out of teams to the point where, like, you can almost see it within themselves. They're like, they'll try time and again, and they just couldn't get through. And you can see it in them. Their body language changed. Like, oh, what's the point trying to get through this Arsenal team? And we've kind of lost that aura. I think Arsenal now are very gettable. Everyone knows that. I think Arsenal players know that as well. This is the thing. When you analyse bit by bit the goals that we've conceded, we're the contributors to our own downfall. I'm not just talking about own goals like here with Hincapié, and it's just those moments of panic, that stress where the chaos just takes over our decision making. You saw it, with Raya and Gabriel late on in the Wolves match, and I know it gets chalked down as an own goal against Calafiori, and that's just the randomness of football. It could just come off his thigh and go out for a corner, or just be deflected anyway, but it goes in. The point I'm trying to make is we invite this pressure. We leave these moments open for chaos. And if there's one thing that you just don't gamble with in life and in football, it's chaos. Sometimes it comes back to bite you against Wolves. Sometimes today we get fortunate because Chelsea themselves are another team that implode regularly. Their red card record it's shocking, actually. I'm surprised it doesn't get spoken about more often because, you remember that when Arsenal went through a mini version of this a few years back, and we were sort of criticised for being very emotional, very over the top, playing high energy, and not being able to play with maturity and professionalism, and we cop a few red cards. We were the poster boys for pundits. We were getting mocked and memed up, and I'm surprised Chelsea are not coming under more scrutiny for this. Again, full disclaimer, I live in an Arsenal bubble, so I'm only really consuming things from an Arsenal lens and Arsenal related content and podcasts and stuff. So and maybe it is. Maybe if someone who's more widely, accesses those sorts of media. If you can let me know in the comments, yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. But Chelsea, they don't make it easy for themselves either. Their goalkeeper, I just don't think is up to the standard either. Sanchez, we got fortunate with that. So once again, from a Chelsea point of view, they'd walk away kicking themselves, thinking what could have been. But look, enough of that. I want to talk about this from an Arsenal point of view. We did what we needed to do. We saw it out. I don't quite know where the 6 minutes came from of injury time, but as I'm watching in bed on my iPad, I can just feel myself with every minute aging more and more as the game goes on. But look, it's all smiles now because we won. And I think that the sense of relief was really palpable at the final whistle. You saw it amongst the players. Arteta as well. He breathed out big as he's going to greet Chelsea's manager Rafinha, and you saw it on the players as well. Like, it was just that adrenaline pump as well, knowing that we just did it, and it's relief, and you can just tick this game on and move forward because there's 9 more of these to go. As it's just started to rain lightly here in Melbourne, I'll just get back to my usual structure. I'll talk about selection. So, as expected, it was a mostly predictable lineup with a week off. I think the players who were looking quite tight and leggy last week, like Rice and Timber, it would have done them the world of good to have a week off, just some rest and respite, because the load on them has been particularly taxing. We've seen him fade as the match goes on. Rice and Zubimendi as well. You know what? Having said all that, I don't think Rice and Zubimendi were their usual selves today as well. Maybe tiredness and that mental fatigue is starting to seep in across the team. But anyway, I'm glad to see Eza start. Now, interestingly, on the bench, Odegaard dropped out. I'm not too sure what the issue is. I haven't seen any post-match quotes just yet. Ben White still not able to make the matchday squad, unfortunately. But it's in true Arsenal fashion. When you lose a few players, you get 1 or 2 back. It's like we get 1 in, 2 or 3 out. And Kai Havertz is back. That's fantastic. Now, we got to be super cautious with him. We know what is at stake in the next couple of months, and I think whatever Arsenal do or don't do is going to be closely tied to the involvement of Kai Havertz. The amount of minutes he plays is going to correlate to how deep and how successful we are. So he's someone we really, really need to manage carefully. And great that I think he got about 14, 15 minutes today. So that's another stepping stone. Let's see how he goes during the week. And Brighton is next on Thursday morning Australian time in a few days. So we'll talk about that another time. But for now, selection largely took care of itself. I just wondered, though, if Odegaard was fit, could this be a match where we see Eza to the left and Odegaard into his midfield spot? This is something there I do want to revisit. I'd like to see that again. We've kind of been denied the opportunities to do so just because of the recurring injuries. So Trossard started on the left, Saka on the right, and Gyökeres is up front as he had to be. I mean, you have to play him again after his 2 goals against Spurs last week. Same with Eze, you have to play them again, keep that momentum going. And we started the game. We started the game well. Interestingly, from a Chelsea point of view, I think I missed this in my post preview podcast a few days ago. I didn't realize that Cucurella was injured. And if you're a listener of this channel, you know I have this long-running gag, especially with my sons, about how many freebies does he get, how many chops of Saka does he get before he gets fouled or get a yellow card. So thankfully from Bukayo's sake, he had some respite from being kicked and hacked all over the pitch from Cucurella. There was a debut for one of their centre halves, defender Sarr, I believe his name is. I haven't heard of him before. And look, I just feel we didn't quite put him under enough pressure. A Premier League debut against going to the number 1 team in the league away from home in a big match. I just wish we put him under a bit more scrutiny and question him more. But look, it is what it is. I was more sort of keeping an eye on the likes of Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Pedro Neto. As it turned out, it was his turn today to implode because these guys, they have a chip on their shoulder. And I've seen it a number of times this season and in prior seasons, the way they moan to the refs and the way they try and control the match. You saw every single moment they had they almost take turns in being the assistant referee and talking to the officials about what they want to happen next. And it's frustrating, but look, it's kind of what you expect with Chelsea. So Arsenal started the game well. I do think we should have been ahead earlier. It's just one of those nagging things that do we need to take the extra pass or the extra shot? You're not always going to be afforded the space that we got against Spurs last week. I mean, as atrocious as they were and are. Happy St. Tottenham's Day, by the way. I've heard that's that's now official. But anyway, that's kind of not the point of this. They're so far irrelevant to what Arsenal are trying to mount this season. From an Arsenal point of view, you're not going to get the repeated open spaces that we got last week. We have to be more clinical. We have to be more ruthless. And I just think there's a couple of times just the one extra touch, the extra pass. Gyökeres had a few openings as well, one-on-one isolated with a defender. And look, I know what he's trying to do. He drifts inside. He's trying to get the ball onto his right foot and to shoot, and he almost did. There was one where it sort of scuffed off his foot, didn't it? And it drifted across to Eza, who's played it in. Timber had a chance to shoot, but he's gone around the defender to take the shot. And just, little bit, but you just wonder, do we need to take the extra touches? Can we just get the shot off? Can we shoot? Can we be clinical? And sometimes we are, and it's fantastic, and we all think football's so simple. We're like, wow, see, that's what we're talking about. Take the shot because you don't know what's going to happen. Other times you look at these chances that amount to nothing or we turn over possession and you're just left with that taste in your mouth thinking, take the shot, but just do something different. Anyway, it's just one of those things. It sounds a bit nitpicky now that I'm complaining because we won the match. We won 2-1 and we've added 3 points, which we needed to. We needed to respond after City's win yesterday. So it's back to a 5-point lead with the game in hand, albeit, but I don't want to be too nitpicky because we won. I just wonder though, like, that emotional fatigue that happens late in matches, that's going to take a toll. You can't finish off every match 15, 20, 25 minutes like that. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to deplete a lot of emotional and physical energy, not just for us as fans, all right, but also the players too. That can't be a good environment, like from a stress point of view, to operate in. So then we get to around the 20-minute mark, and the start of all 3 goals today were from set pieces. A bit of a throwback to the old set piece FC thing. We haven't seen that in a while. It's been quite some time, actually. Arsenal have been scoring a lot more open play of late. If only we could play Spurs every week, right? We'd be pounding 4 open play goals every match. But it just does seem like it's been a while since our corner excellence has taken over. We cause a lot of chaos and a lot of problems, but we haven't been able to find the back of the net until this match. All 3 goals actually were finished off by Arsenal in this match, unfortunately, for Hincapié. But the first one, that's right, it was an excellent delivery from Saka to the back post. Gabriel and Saliba combining for a goal and assist. That's quite a rare feat. I don't recall one since it's probably been 3-4 years maybe since they combined. But that's awesome for Gabriel. He gets an assist for his best mate Saliba. And I think the ball was going in anyway. It did come off a Chelsea defender. So it doesn't count as an own goal. It is Saliba's goal. Great celebrations between them. Great moment for Saliba as well. I do believe he should have more goals to him. He does have that prowess at set pieces. Doesn't quite have the finishing touch yet. He could have had one last week against Spurs, but his header went wide when, from a similar position actually, from a corner, and he didn't quite hit it on target. So he's got more goals in his game too. So lately something's been happening with Arsenal when we go 1-0 ahead. We just go into our shell a little bit, and we seem to be a bit too cautious. We could have had more. We could have had more, as I've mentioned, but unfortunately, just going into your shell a bit more, you're a bit more prone and susceptible just to mistakes as well. I think we got lucky. I should add this as well. We got lucky at the back with just almost another moment of madness from Zubimendi. Like Rye is literally pointing out to the left to play the ball across to the fullback, but for some reason Zubimendi has knocked it back to Rye, who just scrambles to get there in time just before, I think it was João Pedro was just about to get his foot on the ball. We got very lucky there. That was strange. And, Zubimendi has been a bit prone to that of late. Later on in the match, Rice in a one-on-one sprint, he got to the, who was it? Who did he defeat? I think it was Neto in a foot race. He got there beautifully. And I just have to play the ball back to Raya, but it goes out for a goal kick. I mean, it's just one of those little things that I think Arsenal are feeling the pressure. I don't think it's too unreasonable to say that. We are feeling the pressure as fans, and I think I think that there's something glorious that's going to happen once Arsenal win this trophy, which I hope is this year. I think that the shackles are going to be released. This monkey's going to be off our back. This control and dominance, this cautiousness you see in Arsenal, I think a lot of that's going to lift once you finally get over the line. Once you finally climb that mountain, there's a genuine opportunity just to break free of that and go on a little run of the next 2-3 seasons with the way this squad has been built and just gun for everything in a little, almost a dynasty, right? But I don't want to talk too much about that. I'm just more so making the reference that Arsenal, this is going to be difficult, Right. As I've been saying for a while now, I do believe we're going to get there. I do believe we'll win the title. It's not going to be a pleasant experience, though. And just before halftime, we concede the goal again from a corner. There was a lot of set pieces, a pretty stop-start, scraggy sort of match between two physical teams. I will say, there was a genuine shout for a handball on Rice in that first corner. Maybe the referees looked at it and thought, I actually don't know what the logic may have been if that was checked on VAR. I'm not sure if it was, but Raya was being pulled down, it seemed, as well. So maybe the two potential fouls have cancelled each other out. Still, Raya's got an incredible hand to it to keep it out. Goes out for a corner. The next corner comes in. Unfortunately, Hincapié does everything right. He gets there first at the front post. The ball just deflects off the top of his head and goes in for a goal. I mean, what can you do? What can you do? I don't really feel Chelsea deserved it necessarily, but that's not how football works. Football is not about what you deserve, so to speak. It's just these random chaotic moments. And yeah, unfortunately, for the second week in a row, actually, we've conceded a goal that we shouldn't have. And we've gone into halftime at 1-1. And it just shouldn't have happened. It just shouldn't be happening. But thankfully, once again, whatever we said at halftime, we've turned it around and we've ended up getting the result. Not as resounding as last week. How I would have loved another couple of goals here, especially against Chelsea, an old nemesis. And you can see how much it grates their fans and their players that we have this sort of dominance over them. In recent seasons, I would have loved to have ground their nose into the dirt a little bit more, but it is what it is. We got 3 points. That's what I wanted. And we got the job done. So just another general comment as well. It was quite noticeable that the referee would not allow advantages to go. Like, so many times Raya would gobble up. He had an excellent game, by the way. In fact, before I get back to the referee piece, I just want to talk about David Raya. I think he's really needed moments like this. I mean, come under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of question marks after that Wolves match, the ending to that match. He had an incredible save, an amazing moment against Spurs last week where he scrambled the ball from going over the line. The ball was behind him. He's just dived in, reflex style, backed it away with his big hand. And that would have been a very nervous moment for the game to come back to 3-2 in a North London derby. I do not want that scenario. And I don't think any of us would have been up for that. So that was a huge moment for him. He's backed it up a number of times today, a number of key saves from corners. Well, Pedro from point blank, he's caught it. His hands were clean. He would catch crosses in. He would look to distribute. That's what I was saying a moment ago, but the referee wouldn't allow the advantage. He would call it back for a foul. So often we were through. We had the break in play. The type of counterattack that I've been wanting. I want that attacking threat from us and that urgency and we showed it. And the referee would call him back to take the free kick. Even that's the second time he called it back for a yellow card. That's right. Cole Palmer got a yellow card for pulling down Saka in that counterattack. But again, let the play go. Let us have that moment, and then you can always just a minute or two later when there's the next break in play, then show the yellow card. So it was strange. It was quite frustrating from an Arsenal point of view. You saw how incensed the players were. But back to Raya, that save as well late on. Such an awkward delivery, deep in injury time from Garnacho, and the ball's gone deep. He can't come out too early because there's a potential header. There's a duel in the middle. Gabriel's there with whichever Chelsea player was drifting inside. And then he's seen it so late, he has to react and get his big left hand to it and claw it out. There's a really awkward, chaotic balls for a goalkeeper to contend with. But whatever he did it with assurance. And I'm really, really pleased for him because he's needed this. He's an absolute elite goalkeeper. He will get the accolades he deserves when Arsenal finally go on to lift those trophies that we all are wanting and craving. So great moment for David Raya. I'm hoping, with all due respect to him, I'm hoping we don't need to be talking about him too much more as the season goes on. I don't think the thought of him being a repeated man of the match candidate fills us all with a lot of confidence. Right? I'd like our attackers to be in those conversations.
It's yeah, I know you're saying it's fine, but it's actually
because all the headlines today are really taken up by our defenders. I mean, both goal scorers, Timber and Saliba, are defenders. David Raya, potentially a man of the match. So it would be great if we don't have to rely upon them to be so immense in these key moments. It would be great if our forwards, please, can step up and do what we need them to do at the other end of the pitch. But anyway, so great for David Raya, huge for him. I'm so pleased and thrilled for him, and hopefully he now can just get back into his usual self in this critical phase of Arsenal season, in this running. So we then go ahead. Thanks to Timber, another set piece, beautiful delivery. Somehow the ball is squeezed in between Sanchez's elbow and his body. I don't even know how. I mean, it's pretty pathetic the way he was complaining afterwards. It just, again, I don't want to make this all about Chelsea and bemoan their conduct, their behaviour. This is an Arsenal podcast, but pretty pathetic that the way he was complaining for a push. There was nothing in that. That is so incredibly soft. From an Arsenal point of view, if we conceded a goal like that, I'd be questioning, like, what are we doing? Like, where's the authority? Where's the strength in the duel to go and command that position and command the ball? I would not be wanting a free kick there whatsoever. Even with Neto's second yellow card, how amazing was that, by the way? That roasting from Gabriel Martinelli. I'm going to watch that clip a lot of the time. He absolutely burned him on that left flank. It was great to see. It was great. That's the beauty of having players come on with fresh legs. You can influence and impact the match like that with those sort of sprints. I don't know what he's complaining about. How could you possibly complain? He knew what he was doing. He'd been roasted in a foot race, and Martinelli did him again, and he's chosen to dive in. He's clipped him. Full credit to Martinelli. He kept going, and once again, the referee, like, he could have let the play go. He could have, because we were on. Martinelli was breaking into the box. Could have fired into goal or cut it across for a shot. I don't know. It's frustrating. It was a deserved second yellow. Absolutely. I don't know what he's complaining about. And what I'm puzzled by is that how long was he allowed to stay on the pitch? Like, he can stand there and just argue with the ref. The ref's telling him to get off. Like, where's the leadership from a Chelsea point of view? Where are the players coming in with a bit of professionalism, bit of maturity, saying, "Hey, mate, the decision's been made. Get off the pitch." It's just strange. Anyway, I don't want to keep banging on about Chelsea, because they're just a very puzzling and confusing institution. And I'm just glad I'm not a Chelsea fan. Absolutely. So we go ahead, and then something else happens. Now we go into our shell once again. You wouldn't know that we were playing with the extra man advantage. If you watch this game, if you switched it on then and you didn't see the red card incident, with the balance of play, with the balance of passing, the pass count, the possession percentage, you wouldn't know that we had the extra man advantage. You wouldn't know that we're playing at home as well. It was just a troubling end to the game that doesn't need to be analysed too much more, because had we conceded, especially in that last moment, that Garnacho crossing or shot, whatever you want to call it, then this whole period of time will be dissected for ages and ages, and we'll be tearing our hair out trying to figure out what the hell are we doing. So thankfully we got away with it, but also at the same time, a number of things can be true at once. We can also say we shouldn't be doing this to ourselves. We shouldn't be playing on such fine margins, closing it out like that, because we know what can and will happen. You can't do this for the remaining 9 matches. Maybe you get away with it a couple of times, but in terms of the laws of probability, more often than not, I think we're going to get done. And in a league as fine as this, when we've come within 2 points of the Premier League title in seasons gone past, only a 5-point lead now with a game in hand that can be cut back to 2 with City's game in hand, we can't do this. At the same time, I know City as well were quite fortunate to scrape away with a 1-0 win against Leeds, and you can apply the same rationale to them, that maybe they're getting away with things as well. But sooner or not, one way or another, the scales are going to tip one way. And from an Arsenal point of view, the reassuring thing, at least, or for me anyway, is that so much of this is in our control. It's in our hands. We don't need to leave things so open for chance, because we are the league leaders for a reason. And when you dissect key moments in matches, we are the contributors to our own downfall. So if you can correct that, then we still got our hands on the steering wheel. We can still decide which direction we're driving towards. And hopefully that is the message amongst the players and the coaches right now, is that let this result simmer for a bit. You get back in tomorrow, the next day, back into training, and prepare for Brighton with just a different mentality, knowing, hey, we need to iron these little kinks out of our game, because we're not going to get away with it every time. And just a couple of closing thoughts. It was good that Rice came off. He was flagging. I'm not sure if he's injured or not. He looked to be, in that incident I mentioned before when he kicked the ball out for a corner, he looked to be hobbling a little bit. So maybe precautionary. I hope he's okay. Norgard, great to see him on. I don't know why we're not seeing more of him. Someone of his leadership, his experience, you need him to calm things down in those sorts of moments. Maybe it wasn't the most effective example of it. I think I can only recall him maybe having 2-3 touches. But having said that, that's just not a Norgard thing. That was collectively across the board. Arsenal did not control that final stage of the match. We didn't have a high possession count or a high passing count either. So I'm not trying to single anyone out here. I'm just saying collectively that we didn't take control of the game. And it's a bit Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about the same point. I'll move on from now. We didn't make all 5 changes, though. So we've made 3 changes. Martinelli, I've already mentioned, came on for Trossard. Trossard had a bit of an indifferent game as well, so it was good for him to come off. Havertz, I've already mentioned, that's right. Havertz came on. Great to see him back. Almost had a half chance as well. He loves a goal against Chelsea. How good would that have been, by the way? But not to be this time. We had a couple of subs up our sleeve too. I'm just wondering, can we just inject something in late in matches? Just give Chelsea another question mark, just like we did with Martinelli coming on. His pace really influenced their game, caused them to sit a little bit deeper and look over their shoulder. Could we have done something different as well with 2 extra subs up our sleeve? I'm not quite sure, but end of the day, the match finishes 2-1 to Arsenal, and we got what we came for. So on that note, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on audio platforms, please follow the show. Leave me a 5-star review. Leave me any comments or any questions. I read every single word. And thank you so much. Onwards we go. We've got a huge match now in a couple of days' time against Brighton. I'll be back on to record then, so keep an eye out for that. Until then, look after yourselves wherever you are in the world. There's a lot of chaos happening. Quite sad as well what's happening in the Middle East. And just please, look after yourselves and do what you need to do to manage your mental health. So until then, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care and come on, Arsenal.